good to see you all back again. I know it's been a long time. There is a lot that is obviously going on background wise. It's been kind of insane recently. The good things are slowly getting there and coming good. So I know you guys, you're all here really for one thing, and that's the wrestling code, right? You all want to know what it is that I'm doing promotion manager wise, because there's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of talk about GM mode, whether it be for WWE 2K or whether it be for promotion manager. And I asked you guys a fair few weeks ago to submit questions for promotion manager and what you want to know. Now I can't reveal everything, obviously, because I can't give away everything, or otherwise where's the excitement? So what I want to do is I want to give you guys a bit of a rundown on some of the areas that I am particularly excited about by answering the questions that you have put to me. So I've picked out 10 questions, and if I feel like I can answer some more that's going to be in the chat, then I will, because obviously I want to interact with you guys as much as possible. So hopefully we'll get some good things coming on here. I'm really hoping. First off, want to say thanks, Mark, for coming out and modding for me. Say hello to Fringed Globe 40, Benji Man, Meat Knight, Death Sniper, Fringed Globe 40. Did I say that already? Jack Maximus, DJ, the Party Boy, Michael Kurzword. Yeah, just all you guys. Thank you for jumping in the chat, guys. That's amazing. So, and I am doing fine, thanks, Fringe. I am doing fine. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you guys hadn't known, then I started my own little side business, which is the headrooms, which you can see behind me. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the background that I'm trying to keep balanced. It's kind of insane. And no, thank you, Michael. It's amazing to be a part of it, and it's kind of great that it all just happened, because there's obviously a lot of things out there that I think with the wrestling code especially, and I said this recently in an interview with Dre, is that when it comes to the wrestling code, there's no leash on us. So there's nobody to say yes or no to. It's kind of just, we can do what we want, and because of that we can give you as much creativity as we feel we can. So the first one that I want to bring out, the first question, is one that was from Twitter, and it was GB12161, and he has asked about promotion manager. Has the ability to create an arena as the promotion's home base been considered? Now, when it comes to arenas and stuff like that in promotion manager, one of the things that I really considered was actually you having your own arena, because let's face it, you've got to have your own arena, just like Impact constantly has their own place. NXT was always in Full Sail. Ring of Honor, although it toured, it had a home for a while, and I think really it'd be great if you could just have a home, or at least an arena that you have customized, that wherever you go it looks the same. It doesn't matter. So wherever you go in the game, your arena goes with you. So that's kind of answered that question. Is your arena you get to design your arena as you would, because whatever you design in the main game you can import over to promotion manager. That's the main core of it. Whatever you design in the main game will be importable into promotion manager. Take it with you. Don't have to redo it all and design it all over again, which is really going to open up doors for a lot of people and a lot of creators, especially when it comes to promotion manager, because obviously if you've got people out there that are incredibly talented and create arenas for other promotions and things like that, you could well import them in. So it's another thing that could be up there. What I'm going to do is we're going to go through the questions that I picked out that I can definitely answer, and then I'll come to the chats. So the next one was from Zachary Bowman, and he asked, Can I create rival brands with friends and have a ratings war? Will there be a draft? Will there be something similar to a creator story that will be implemented? So I can answer some of those questions. Other ones I'm still trying to manage and what I can do. So creating rival brands will be essentially creating another company. It won't be so much a rival brand, because you're not in WWE. It's not all under one umbrella. There's going to be rival companies. So there will be rival companies. You'll be able to play it with friends. And we are having talks, and I have spoken about having it be online. So the possibility for Promotion Manager being an online mode as well is pretty serious. It's pretty good. And will there be a draft? This is something that I really want to put in, and I can't see why there wouldn't be a draft. Everybody likes a good draft, right? So what we'll do is go to the next question. RJ the Gamer from Twitter. He's said, what contract system do you plan on implementing? Will it be a month like the old SVR games? Or are you going to try something new, like multi-year contracts? The contract system it's going to be... The best way to put it is that I'm trying to make it not complicated, but also not stupidly simple, like the old SVR ones, because the contract system is going to have some tie-ins with things that they're going to expect you to do. The superstars are going to want they're going to want certain things from you, and if you don't contractually do those things or negotiate them out of it, then that's on you. Contracts are going to be they're going to be in depth enough where it's going to keep you going, okay, what can I get out of it? Think more NBA, FIFA, this sort of thing, but a little bit more in depth as to what you can get out of the characters. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. The contracts are going to be it's simple yet complicated. Simple but in depth is probably the best way to do it. And Darren O'Connor has asked, will there be various tournament modes? Single, elimination, double elimination, round robin, incorporating Promotion Manager. Tournaments are something that I really want to carry over, because you guys have been asking for having tournaments in something like Universe mode for WWE for years. I've asked for tournaments for years in WWE 2K. For Promotion Manager, and I know for the main game they're going to put tournaments in. So when it comes to having tournaments and having single elimination, double elimination, round robins, things like that, I'm pretty sure that they'll attempt to put that many in, or those variations in. And the idea that you'll be able to use those and move on to brackets in the shows themselves is going to be one of the main things. The next question is from the Screw Up. What a lovely name. Will it be simple or more complex? Because I know in the WWE SVR games it was simple at first and then kept getting bogged down with different unnecessary features until it felt bloated and unnatural. And that's a kind of a complicated question, because it's going to be simple in the way that if you just want to go on and you want to book a GM, then you can go ahead and just do that, because there's going to be systems in place where you can have assistants that will do a lot of the other stuff for you if you don't want to get bogged down by it. But also there's going to be the option for you to get your hands dirty and get stuck in with certain things, whether that be training wrestlers, helping with that sort of thing, scouting talent, or you can just leave it to your scouts. And it depends really how in-depth you want to go with it. It's going to be in-depth enough where you can actually go in and have some fun and really get your fingers in every part of your promotion, or you can just concentrate on trying to book the best show that you want to book. So hopefully that answers that question. The next one is from Star45JA, on YouTube, and it says, "Hiya, will the PM be competitive with other promotions in the game, assuming there are others? And if there are, can we have alliances or wars? Thank you, always enjoyed your vids." And thank you, Star45J. Yes, so there will be other promotions in the game, AI based. The point being is that if you don't want them in there because you're playing against your friend, then you don't have to have them in there. But obviously there will be other promotions in the game you'll be playing against to get the ratings for. As far as having alliances or wars, you're always technically going to have wars with other promotions because you're all trying to fight for the ratings, right? So, but inevitably there was an option where I was considering having promotions themselves be able to share talent on that sort of basis, kind of like a Forbidden Door. So if you think about it, it's a great idea. Whether it works or not is a different thing, and just like AEW and Impact, it can go either way. So you have to kind of weigh it up. But yeah, war's always going to happen, and alliances, Forbidden Doors, is a possibility in the game as well. It's something that I would like to put in. So yeah, guys, I will be coming to questions in the chat as well. I will go through them. Thank you everybody for joining me on here right now. So the next one is from Chris Vibes Wrestling and Music. He was on YouTube. He asked a question as well, which said, "Can we add custom superstars and music? Is it going to be non-stop mode like universe mode?" So yeah, it's not. With GM mode, it's not really a mode that you can win, much like universe mode. It's a mode that you can dominate, and it just goes on forever. Custom superstars and music is going to be, as I said before, whatever's in the base game, you can bring over to Promotion Manager. That's completely open. So if you've got custom superstars that you want to put in Promotion Manager, you can do that. The main thought that I had was to have any custom superstars that you have that you import in, you can import them in either one of two ways. You can either import them into the pool of talent, which will then get shared across, everywhere, all the promotions that are in the Promotion Manager mode, and they could be randomly assigned, or you could import them into the scout section, which means that depending on where they're from, where your character is from in the world, they'll be assigned that country, and your scouts will eventually have to go out and find them. So that is something that I thought would be great for discoverability for your characters, and actually giving them more of a story for you to follow as well. I've always liked giving guys a story. So the next question that I have on here is, this is a big one. Will cause an in-game wrestlers would I have like a value popularity system in play, because that would be awesome. I know I hated it when I'd sign a creator wrestler back on SVR and it wasn't treated like a big deal because of his popularity being so low. So creator wrestlers and in-game wrestlers, I believe that they probably do have a popularity rating. I wouldn't like to be the one to assign those stats, because I can imagine there's going to be some people that wouldn't be very happy with whoever is their thoughts. And I think the idea was that we would get the values and the popularity, and we put them in, and then eventually, obviously, if you do sign somebody big, it would show up on the dirt sheets, the in-game dirt sheets. You would make a big deal, especially if you did something like it. I was thinking of possibly triggering cutscenes for if you'd signed, a big player from another company or something like that. Much like when Lex Luger showed up in WCW from WWF and the Outsiders in WCW. When you get these crossovers and things, it's big. So that was something that was definitely in play in my mind, and having a popularity system is definitely something that I was thinking of having, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the base game as well. What's Good Mo said, will there be a trade system? Yes. To a certain extent. I mean, you can't just trade talent without there being a reason for talent. I think that comes back more to the forbidden door of being able to trade talent if you have an alliance with a company. So hopefully that kind of answers that. It's pretty much the same. I suppose it's pretty much the same question. But that's all the questions that I picked up from Twitter and from YouTube. I decided to answer those 10. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the chat and see, you know, what I can see on here. First, I'm just going to give some shout outs and stuff. For people who are here, Aplex, thank you for being here. Brandon B, thanks for being here. Jato, Zom813, Carl Farrell, how you doing, Carl? Hopefully you're good. Cody, hopefully you're good. Tracy, Ray, Victor Rodriguez, Awesomemax, Birdman, Henry, thank you for joining the chats. Thank you all for coming in. You know, it's amazing, especially because I haven't streamed in such a long time, seeing all these people in there. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to see what questions that I can answer. Like I said, I don't want to give everything away right now. So let's take a look and see. What kind of juicy details can he give us? Because I'm buying this game day one. I'm not going to give you any juicy details because the juicy details I can give you is really the promotion manager mode. So will there be an image uploader? Yes. I'm fully sure there's going to be an image uploader because obviously they want you to create custom characters, so there's got to be an image uploader. With the roster size not being disclosed yet, how will GM mode work for challenge, such as different brands? I mean, like I said, you can import custom characters, so if you've got custom characters, the roster size is pretty big right now already as well. And it's got some great, obviously, legends and current gen superstars and all sorts of people, just wrestlers from across the board of popularity. So there's a lot of people in there that you can build up if you're a big fan of them. Is there a limit to the number of shows in PM? I'm not sure. The thing is that it's I would always see it as things like, you know, if you've ever played a Total War game, the more people or the more factions, the longer it takes for it to simulate. So the more people that are in it, the longer it takes to simulate, because the game's got to kind of go, okay, what's this person doing? Is there a contract coming up? Blah, blah, blah. So I would think there would probably be a limit to the number of companies in it. And for you as a company, I would probably limit you to how many shows you can put on a week. Only because it would be insane to say, yes, if you want to book 5 shows a week, then go ahead. Maybe I should put in fan fatigue, because let's face it, having something like, I don't know, however many millions of hours a week of WWE there is, it kind of gets a bit annoying. What kind of penalties would there be for breaching contract on your side or theirs? I haven't really gone too in depth in that yet, but I would imagine, you know, things like fines or letting people go. You know, with you, it's not so much of a big deal, I would assume, but you just upset people, which isn't good. It's not really good. Let's take a look. Victor, thoughts on the recent releases? Absolutely shocking, but I've made that pretty obvious on Twitter. One more thing. Oh, this is from Ray. Will you have some inspiration on booking games like TEW or PWS? So, TEW, I used to play a ton. I used to play so many years ago. I used to play it for hours and hours and days and months, and I used to book until I got bored. And then I start again and start a different company. And I think that's kind of I've drawn a little bit on that. Because, I mean, you know, TW, you have to kind of just play it out in your head as much as possible because you can't really see everything that's going on. But one of the things that I really want to do is implement cutscenes and storyline cutscenes and things like that into it. So you essentially, it's like the perfect coupling of what you would imagine a universe mode would be, but with consequences of a GM mode. That's kind of where I'm at, is trying to get that balance so it makes sense to you as players that it's fun, but also it's got the depth enough for you to manage it and go, okay, that was good, but obviously whatever I've done hasn't affected ratings or has made ratings go down. So how do I change it while keeping this person happy and not getting other people angry at me at the same time? And do I have to release this guy because he's just a pain in the ass? Or, you know, it's kind of trying to make that balancing act for you rather than just giving you a sandbox, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a universe type mode in the wrestling code. So that's another thing. Not sure if I read yours or not yet, Awesome Max, but you feel free to ask it in the chat. Mark, with the base roster of the game being so vast, how will the base roster be generated for the AI promotions? Will it be generated cores mixed with real talent, or only base roster people? So like I said, it'll be a mixture of the two. So you know, if you've got a load of created wrestlers and you've imported them, then you can import them into the pool, or you can import them into the scouting pool, and that's kind of where you're going to get picked from. So if you've got a created wrestler, should I say, that you really wanted in your promotion, but you didn't want to just pick him out of the pool because you wanted that element of, oh, I really want to scout him and kind of do it properly, you can dump him in the scouting pool. But if you don't scout him, or somebody else scouts him first and picks him up, you know, if you don't give him a good enough contract and somebody else offers him a better contract, he might go somewhere else. So yeah, that's another thing. Let's take a look. Man, I've got loads of questions coming in. There are so many. Let's take a look. Excuse me, I'm still getting over a horrible flu. Just absolutely knocked me for 6 for like 5 days. Let's take a look. There must be more on here. Will there be TNA, Impact Stars, and Wrestling Code? Yeah, we've already answered that. There's none. Other than contractual obligations, you met this from Zach Berger. Will there be owner booker goals, like get this person to the popularity by this date? I feel like because you're the promotion manager itself, there won't be any pressure to get this person to this popularity by this date, unless it's something that A, you wanted to do, or B, something that you've promised a superstar. So if you've turned around and said, you know, I really want you to be in my company, and if you come and you sign this contract, then, you know, I'll give you a title run with the world title, and you don't complete that obligation. It's not contractual to give somebody a title run, obviously, but if you don't and you promise them that, you can really upset them, which can mean that they may not put in a great showing for you, or they may, when it comes to the end of their contract, just will not renegotiate with you. So there'll be penalties like that, so you could lose some seriously good wrestlers by not fulfilling your obligations and your promises that you make to them. You'd have a new system using pages and Twitter or something like that. From Ray, yes. The idea is to have a news page, so if you'd see somebody that you really liked and they got snapped up by somebody else, or you can see if somebody got injured in another company, or, you know, and you can see all these sorts of things when people retire. Retirement's another thing that's definitely going to happen, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, wrestlers don't go on forever. Yeah, we all know that. Some retire old, some retire young. There's a lot of stuff. So let's take a look. Will there be an online mode for PM? Yes, that is something that I really want in there, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Victor Rodriguez, do you know anything about the game plan, the wrestling code? Because I do not. I've seen a few teasers, but not sure what the game's going to be like. I haven't played any gameplay of the base game. I've got a video about like everything they're wanting to achieve in the game. It's huge. It's sprawling. And the fact that they're doing the motion capture and everything right now, they've got RVD doing the load, they've had Kurt Angle do some. They've got a lot of people working really hard to get everything done. So they are fully into it. And thanks, Benji. Proud of you too, man. Cody, yes, it has been a while. Wrestling games have just... We're all waiting with bated breath. Super excited for the game that you've got planned, mate. Probably the most excited I've been for a long time. Cheers, Carl. Will it be community creations? Yep. Let's take a look, see what else there is on here. Will there be injuries in the game from Tracy Money? Yes, there will. There will be injuries because wrestlers can't go on forever. There will be retirement. There will be injuries. If somebody turns around, they get injured, you ain't using them. Depending on the severity of the injury, sometimes the idea is that there'll be an injury severity, and whether or not you can ask them to work through it, with obviously the caveat that if you do decide to tell them, hey, can you work through it, then what they may end up doing is injuring themselves further and making it a lot worse, which means that they will have to be out. But not only will they be out, they'll be out for longer. So consequences for your actions as a booker, promotion manager. Oh, awesome. Awesome, Max. If you've got a question, man, just ask it in the chat, dude. Seriously, it's absolutely fine. If I can answer it, then I'll answer it. If I can't, then I won't, because, like I said, I don't want to give everything away. Cody, you were asking more for, like, would it be possible for you and your two bros to play together? Yeah, that's pretty much what we were going for. Basically, we wanted a GM mode that you and your friends can play together. You can all play rival promotions and just try and, outdo each other. All work together. It's kind of up to you. Just going through the rest of them. Man, there's quite a few of them on here. Could there be a possibility of eventually buying out / forcing other companies to run out of business? For example, Vince buying up all the territories. It's not something I considered. It could be a possibility that I might look at putting something like in there. I guess that would make sense, especially if there's so many people in there and they've all just stripped the company of talent and they've got no money coming in and it's just no good anymore. Yeah, that might be something I'll actually put on there. So let's take a look, see if I can find any more in here. I'm sorry if I missed you, because there's quite a few questions on here and I'm just kind of going in a bit of a blur. Will there be a rivalry system outside of promotional manager, or will it be random cutscenes happening after a match? That's the rivalry system. I don't know how you mean outside of promotional manager, but there will be a rivalry system inside promotional manager, but it'll be much more managed onto how you book that rivalry more than anything else. Any ideas that you had but eventually had to be put aside? Not that I can say, because everything I'm doing right now is stuff that I'm still iterating on in the documents where I'm designing and everything, and designing the menus. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going through, so there's nothing off the table right now. Eventually if something comes up, then it may well do. Mark out, nice to see you in here, bud. Hopefully you're good. So I'm just going to go through one more time and see if there's anything else in here. After save started, will there be a possibility to add more people to the pool post-start? Example, new company pops up or DLC drop from VB. Yeah, there will. So basically, if you add, if you went back to the creation suite and you were like, there's the whole new bunch of wrestlers that have been added to the game because, people have been amazing on the creation suite, then yeah, you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to pop them in. But once the save starts, you won't be able to add them to the pool that is distributed between like all the people. It's kind of like a draft. They'll probably be in the scouting pool, so you'll have to go and find them wherever they're from. You'll have to scout them, and we could go from there. The other option is that, which I'm not sure whether I could do it or not, whether it could be done, possibly, is that at some point you may be able to. It wouldn't be realistic, but maybe you could set up a messaging system where you get in contact with all the other promotion managers and say, hey, how about we all call for a draft? And you all get to draft with the other promotions that are in the game. Every so often, you could do that, and then you can change all the talent. It's another thing that, you know, I could see possibly, but I just wouldn't be realistic. But putting them in the actual into the actual scouting pool itself, so you have to go and scout them and send your scouts to go and find these people, is definitely something that I would want to do in there. And will there be any events happening in the outside world in PM? Like, say, if someone leaves the company on bad terms, they can go on somebody's podcast and trash talk your company. I think that's... I mean, yeah... I hadn't thought in depth like that, but I figure that should be one of the consequences of you, say for instance, as I said earlier, if you say to somebody that you're going to give them a contract, but you make them an arbitrary promise of a title run, you don't give them the title run, and then when it comes to the end of their contract, they don't negotiate with you because their relationship with you is so low, and I could see that being one of the random events that occurs afterwards, rather than them just not negotiating with you and going somewhere else. But depending on how badly you treated them, that you would end up having to see in the news that they've gone onto a podcast or they've spoken to dirt sheets and they've said bad things about you, and that causes your promotion's popularity to go down as well. I mean, not by tons, but, you know, it would have an effect. So I think that's something that would definitely add to the depth and the realism of being, a promotion manager. So I think that's a great idea. Yeah, you kind of spurred me on a little bit there. Do we have storylines in the game? I mean, GM mode's kind of an open thing, but you can book your own storylines. That's the great thing. We'll be able to book predetermined outcomes. Yes. That's kind of the point. So I was thinking of going with both versions. Either you can simulate the match, or you can simulate with a preferred outcome, or you can play the match and put on a really good show. Because when it comes to GM mode and you playing the GM mode, it's not about when you go in and you're playing, because let's face it, when you play career mode or exhibition or road to glory or anything like that, it's always about just win. But when it comes to promotion manager, it's about putting on a good show and making sure that the crowd are entertained. So, and that's what it is really, without, destroying your wrestlers. Can someone come out of retirement in the game? There will be legends sort of things, is something that I was putting into the plans, is that when somebody retires, they don't completely go. They're not completely gone. It's more that they are on the sidelines, and if you can, like, depending on how popular they are, you may be able to coax them out of retirement for short bursts. Think of it like, the Lesnar deal. He'll come back for a good amount of money for a very short period of time, like an Undertaker deal as well. If you can bring him back, you can bring him back. If you can't, they sit on the sidelines, and that's it. They're in a separate pool. And will your GM be able to make TV appearances from Finn? Yes. One of the things that I really wanted to do was, when you have your GM mode, is that you can create your GM. Because I feel like GMs don't get enough TV time to a certain extent. My favourite GM or promotion manager for this But my favourite GM is William Regal, because he's there just enough that he gets involved to a certain extent, but he doesn't have to be front and centre in storylines. You could, if you wanted to, be front and centre in storylines in Promotion Manager if you really wanted to, but I don't know why you would, because then you're becoming a proper Eric Bischoff and joining the NWO and all this kind of jazz, and all of a sudden you're Vince McMahon, you're in the corporate ministry, and it's just going insane. But you can come out, you could book segments where you come out and you book matches, you can do all. The idea is that we're going to give you a lot of freedom to do all sorts of things. And that's what this really is Promotion Manager is unshackled because we're not part of a promotion or a company. So, I mean, you think about it, when it comes to WWE, there's not a ton you can do. They don't want you putting other promotions in GM mode. They don't want you doing certain things that breaks the rules of what they put out on programming. They don't want these things. And because WWE has the say, they cut it off. So you are firmly within their universe and how they do things. But when it comes to Promotion Manager, you're not. You are literally able to do as much as the game will let you do. You can go out, you can recruit talent, you can find them, you can have wars with other companies, you can have alliances. There's going to be a lot in there, but it's also not going to be so much that you get bogged down. If you guys have played things like, My GM and NBA, FIFA Manager Mode, things like that, I'm kind of taking aspects of that and making it more like that, because those sorts of games last a long, long time. And they keep you invested, and especially because the thing is with GM mode in NBA and FIFA Manager mode, you don't really have storylines. You've got nothing there to craft, and I'm trying to give you this perfect culmination of GM and universe all crafted into one area, just perfectly molded together. And it's a tough thing to try and get them both to join together properly, but when they do, and you've got the ability to play a universe mode but with consequences and with other companies and things are on the line. I mean, you may not be able to lose the game as such, but you can certainly get yourself to a point where you will sit there and go, I could not make this company get any bigger. I've really messed it up. And I think that's where it will go wrong for you, is if you really step out of line, you really mess the game up. Because then obviously if you've peed everybody off that's on your roster, and you've fulfilled no promises, and you've gone back on every word that you've done, and people are, think that the company's crap, and you've just absolutely run it into the ground, which you'll be able to do. It won't say game over, but you'll put yourself in an impossible situation. And that's kind of what I like, because if you put yourself in an impossible situation, that's on you. You've got to deal with the consequences of making bad decisions. If you want a sandbox game, there's more than likely going to be a version of universe mode. And that's going to be the beautiful thing in the wrestling code. There's going to be a version of that universe mode. If you want a sandbox that you want to go out and play and just go absolutely wild with it, then go ahead and go in there. The Promotion Manager mode is going to be a beautiful blending of being able to do what you want to do, but at the same time having consequences, which really make you go, oh man, I've got to book this right, or I've got to make sure that I sign this guy because I really need him. Hey, Everything Pro Wrestling. And hey, everybody else who have joined the chat. There's so many people in here now. Let's take a look. Let's see if there's any questions in here that I can take a look. This sounds overly ambitious, but I believe in you, Viking. Thanks, Brandon. It's the thing is that I would say it'd be overly ambitious if it was just me, because I'm not really great at coding. But because I'm designing it and putting the systems and how things work. I've got so much faith in the team that will be building the wrestling code, that they will be able to put this together, because it as a logic as it goes, it'll all make sense in a logical way. But actually doing it for me, it would just make my head explode. But they'll be able to do it because they're amazing. So let's take a look. FF Lover 3333 Lover. Can you have 2 general managers on one show? No, you can't. You are literally the promotion manager. That is where the buck stops with you. Will there be options for sending off certain features, like maybe just wanting to play without having to worry about contracts expiring and money running low? That's going to be your universe mode. That's going to be a different mode altogether. Will you be able to create a rivalry promotion? If you want to create a rival promotion, you can. That's something that I'm definitely thinking that you can do. And as people get older in PM mode and get... as people get older in PM mode, will their stats and durability deteriorate over time? Yes, I'm certainly putting in a stat decay. Popularity decay will go a lot slower than anything else, because, let's face it, if you've got somebody who's just ridiculously over, it doesn't matter how old they are, it's just their body will just decay over time, and their stats will, which is great. So, that's going to be fun. These ideas are awesome. Well done. We'll have finally well done wrestling game with modern technology. Thanks, Bo. And PM mode is just one aspect. Yeah, it is just one aspect. So I don't know about like attires and things like that. Mainly, this is just all about, promotion manager mode / what people would call GM mode, but we don't have that issue of being bogged down, which is nice. I'm just going to see if there's anything else before I go anywhere. Will the game come out next year? Got no idea. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to come out because there's so much to do. You're not really a question. Say that there's an outcome to a match that the fans dislike so much that they actually start a riot that you can see and then use the costume promotion money. I wouldn't have said that was something that I was thinking of putting in, but now you've said it. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. You've booked it so terribly. It was just an awful match. It was so bad that the crowd actually rioted for once. When they, instead of just saying, this guy loses, we riot, and then you booked it, and he lost. Maybe I will actually have them riot, and it comes out in the news. That would be insane. Can you do reboot like TNA to Impact if it's not going great? I mean, that could possibly... I haven't really thought that far in that aspect of what happens. But like I was saying earlier, if you put yourself in such a deep hole where it's just so bad, you might be able to. It might be a possibility to say, rebrand, reboot, and go from there. But you can change your promotion to whatever you want during whenever. It doesn't really make any difference because you'll have those editing capabilities anyway. And we'll be cutting deals with TV stations and sponsorships. Sponsorships are something that I want to bring in, but TV stations, I don't want to go like I said. I want to have depth, but I don't want to go like EWR depth. Not EWR, TWC. No, TWC. Whichever one it is, the one that's like after Extreme Warfare Revenge, that's just so in depth. You have to book everything. You have to book stadiums. You're not doing that in this. It's too much. It's too in-depth. I'm giving you depth, but not too in-depth. I did touch on injuries, everything pro wrestling. I have definitely said about injuries, you will be able to go ahead and injure people, and you can ask them work through it depending on how badly they're injured, and if they do and it gets worse, then that's on you. Silly man telling you to, continue working through it. Can I just sit back and relax and watch the AI do everything for me? If you've booked the people and you've hired the right staff, a lot of it you can just get them to do whatever you want. It's fine. There's going to be an option where you'll have an assistant booker. You can hire an assistant booker, and it will essentially do the booking for you. TEW, that's the one, Mark. Yes, there's going to be an option where you'll have an assistant booker, and if you just sitting there going, I don't fancy booking stuff tonight, it's not really a big thing for me, I can't be bothered, you'll be able to ask the assistant booker. You'll just go, boop, assistant booker, you book the show, and depending on obviously how good he is at his job, because there will be ratings of, the type of person you've hired, it'll either be a good show or it'll be an absolutely shocking show, and it'll be like you've dragged somebody off the street who knows nothing about wrestling. So, could go either way. Can a company be sold like TNA change owners? No, but I would say that you may get like investors. Is one thing I may say. And we will be hosting retirement Hall of Fame ceremonies. I mean, that wasn't on my list of things to put in there. Like Hall of Fames and retirements and things like that. It was more just kind of going to be like this guy retired and everybody wishes him well kind of thing, and then he just gets put in a separate pool in the game, and that's kind of it, I mean, it would be great to have a cutscene where you have, the whole Mark Henry, John Cena thing, where you have a fake retirement. I think that'd be great. We used to book arenas and shows in certain cities, or is that not a thing? I mean, the thing is that I don't. It's kind of getting the. Think of it as like universe mode. You're not always in the same place in universe mode. You can change the place, And I think that when it comes to promotion manager, like I said, I don't want to go ridiculously in depth of booking certain arenas because A, you don't have the licenses to the arenas. B, you could say whatever city you're in, but you don't have the licenses to those arenas. So actually booking the arenas is one thing that's going to be off the table. But, having... saying wherever you are, you could change it if you want to change it manually, or you can just let the game cycle through to wherever you're going to be is going to be my answer for it, unless it's somewhere particular, because like I don't want to sit there and say, hey, you're going to have your version of WrestleMania, where are you going to book it? You're going to book it at this stadium, or you're going to book it at this stadium and just make up the stadium names and say this one's got like 18,000, this one's got 20, because you're getting into logistics then, and that's just going to get like bogged down into the whole, am I going to book enough fans or am I going to underbook for the amount of fans? I kind of want you to just enjoy the depth that's going to be there without it being too overwhelming. Hopefully that answers your question. You could do dedication shows to them where they're featured in the wrestling role, in a no wrestling role instead of Hall of Fame. Yeah, we could definitely do that sort of thing. It's something. Will we have the option to have one-off appearances? Yes, that is something you can get in there. Are there going to be premium promotions to choose from, or are we creating our own promotion, or both? Both. I've got huge faith in Virtual Basement, Dreyfort One Gaming, and you as well, Viking. Y'all are going to deliver a great game, pushing the endless possibilities of the PS5 and Xbox Series X technology and PC. Don't forget about PC. Is the PM mode close to Fire Pro games or the old SmackDown vs. Raw GM mode? I think it kind of stands on its own two legs, if I'm honest. I mean, there's aspects from all of them. There's aspects from everything. So it's kind of just making sure that we get all the aspects in one game where it actually all works out very nicely. Will it be possible to negotiate with retired wrestlers to become staff or come out of retirement? There was a plan in place that I had, which was some, not all of them, it would be a random roll as to whether or not they would or would not be available for to become staff. So, if you've got somebody who's very good at scouting talent, then they may have a secret stat of scouting talent, and then there would be a random roll to say whether or not they actually have the option to become staff. Say for instance, if you've got somebody out there that's like Kurt Angle, say for instance, if he's in the game and he retires, and when he retires, the game will basically do a random number game and decide whether or not he can become staff or whether he just permanently retires, and he may come out of retirement for a match if you could persuade him, because he'll become part of that talent pool. Or if he's way too injured and just will never come back, is kind of another factor as well. There's a lot of factors as to, if and when, along with a random number game, as to whether or not they can become staff. So I didn't want to give it like, yeah, definitely when this guy goes and retires, he will 100% become staff, because sometimes you might completely abuse somebody and their injuries might be so severe that they don't want to be staff, they don't want to ever come back, they just want to retire. They've just had enough. So hopefully that answers that question. Will we have the option to have anyone as the owner of the promotion? No, you're the owner. You're the promotion manager. That's it. The buck stops with you. There's nobody else. You own it, you own it. If people invest, if you get, I don't know, like in WWE, you get a Saudi prince that decides that he wants to invest in the company, then, that's going to be something that you can do, and you can take the money and improve it, but he might have demands. Is it possible to add a win-lose record that matters? I mean, win-loss records in wrestling are all in people's heads anyway. Just make it up as you go along, I suppose, because if you're booking it and you can make people win or lose, you're the one who's in control of the win-loss record anyway. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. Finally found a question. Will there be wrestlers in-game that are automatically retired? Interesting. Automatically retired. What, as in they just literally will not ever come back, and never be part of it, and never be staff? I doubt it. I'd like to make sure that everybody's game is slightly different. So you might play it and Kurt Angle might retire permanently, but then your mate might play it and Kurt Angle doesn't retire permanently and comes back, or he is staff in somebody else's game. Like I said, I didn't just want to just kind of add that in there. Will there be an automatic contender schedule? Interesting. No, I don't think so. I think, like I said, everything's booked to you. New Jack, for example. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't really want to touch on that sort of example. But I think when it comes to these sorts of things like that obviously, like I said, it's more of a random number game. Will you be able to have multiple brands under your umbrella? I would say, I mean, I wouldn't say brands, I'd say shows, and I'd probably limit you to how many shows you can have. Because it's not really like you're having brands and you have an internal rivalry, because the reason that WWE has brands is because it only really sees itself as competition. So it creates its own internal competition. Whereas this, you actually have legitimate competition from other companies that are there. So if effectively you're not playing Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, you're playing WWE versus AEW versus Impact versus New Japan. You're playing that game. You're playing the wider game, the bigger game. Oh, you mean rivalries where wrestlers who start the mode are already retired and could be used in short? Do you know? I don't know. I haven't really thought of that. I only just thought I don't think so, no. I think everybody... Don't get me wrong, some people will have a shorter time period in the game, you know, promotion manager-wise. Like, you know, say for instance, you get some of the older guys in the game, whether it's like Big Pop Pump or, you know, Kurt Angle or anything like that, who are obviously a little bit older, you know, their bodies are a bit more run down. They won't spend as much time in the game because they're older as well, so they will retire sooner in the game than, you know, other people that are a lot younger. So, like WCW versus WWF. Yes, Christian, you see. Other promotions to fight over rating staff from wrestlers. Yes, definitely. So yeah, there is a lot. Oh, you answered my question before I asked. Did I? So yes, there is a lot to go through. There is a lot to do. In fact, there is a lot of stuff. It's kind of crazy about how much there is in this entire mode. If we customize ages of those older wrestlers before starting the mode, will that factor of them retiring sooner potentially go away? Do you know, I'm not 100% sure, because I don't know if you can change the age of wrestlers that are in the game, because it's a visual license, and I'm also not sure if there's going to be injuries or, you know, potential wear down in the game that's already there in the base game that will then get imported over to Promotion Manager. So say for instance, you know, with Kurt Angle, obviously he's pretty worn down as a guy anyway. I don't know whether or not you'll have like a very young Kurt Angle version in the game and the current day Kurt Angle version, and then if you bring him over to Promotion Manager, you get the older version, whether or not he's like, you know, legs or back or whatever stats are a lot lower, and that affects his retirement as well, because he'll get injured more frequently. And if you get injured more frequently, then the more time you get, the more times the wrestlers will get injured. I keep wanting to say superstars, stupid WWE. So the more times you get injured, the more likely it is for them to retire. There's going to be like if you think about it as like every time you get injured, there's like a retirement bar, and it kind of makes them go, maybe it's time to retire. And if that bar isn't full, then they go, nah, not yet, I'll keep going. But every time they get injured, that bar just gets a little bit more full, and that kind of leaves them into a point where they will eventually retire. Sniper, you asked me this, or I'm sure I've been asked this already. Yes, it is. Promotion Manager will be multiplayer. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. Can you make wrestlers learn new moves / styles? Totally depends on if they are in the base game or if they are brand new, like completely random generated superstar wrestlers. Again, so let's put it this way. There will be the pool of talent that you can scout, and I've touched on this before, and the idea is that there will be a number of randomly generated people that you can mold. So they'll have base stats of how talented they are, how charismatic they are, you know, how easily they're injured. They'll have these sorts of base stats that make a wrestler. And then it's kind of up to you, because there'll be training facilities and things like that, to expand on that and build them up. As far as like movesets and stuff like that go, you know, that's something else that I'm trying to work out at the moment as to how we'd edit them, because these wrestlers would have to be saved in one way or another, and I'm not sure whether or not you'd be able to edit them so much as train them to have like a random set of moves. So if you had a guy who was a high flyer but you didn't like his moveset, then you could like say, right, we're going to train you a different way, and it would give him a different random moveset or something. I haven't completely worked out that side of things, But because there's so much to go with this, it's a huge mode with a lot of moving parts. So when it comes to trying to design all of it, and like I said, the consequences of each action and how much customization you can have, there's a lot that I'm trying to work out still. But you've got a good idea now of where this is heading. And I've been streaming this for like an hour. That's crazy. So I'm probably going to stop it here because, like I said, I don't want to like give away way too much. But you've got a lot out of this now, and I'm sure you guys, you know, like I said, there's some questions that I've answered 2 or 3 times. There's some questions that have been asked once, and I've given like a super in-depth answer for. If you haven't seen your question answered and you've just come in, please go back. You can go back in here in the stream, and there's going to be a lot of stuff. If anybody wants to like volunteer, and it's kind of up to you guys, I don't know who can. If you want to, you can go through and you can like cut up the bits. You can tell me where all like the, you know, the numbers are for certain questions and answers. Then that would be super useful for everybody here, and I'll give you a credit in the comments for doing that, because that's absolutely amazing if you can. Because there's a lot to go through, so hopefully it kind of gives you an idea of what's going to be happening, because the modes itself is going to be huge. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of interoperability between the base game and promotion manager mode, because they're swapping information and bringing each other in between it constantly. So there's a lot to do. The main takeaways are going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping you guys have got a great idea of what's going to be happening. And like I said, if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/VikingSizeGamer. Pretty obvious. It's the same everywhere. Just look for me. I'm everywhere. Thank you for joining me on the chat, guys. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you guys and seeing you guys in the chat. Will the Viking-sized gamer appear himself in the PM mode? See, that's something I've been mulling over. We might have to think about that. But thank you again, because it has been absolutely awesome just getting back on stream and chatting with you guys. I'm thinking of doing more streams of just playing games, because I just want to play some games, man. Like, you know, it doesn't even always have to be wrestling. It could just be other games. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in a different stream, a different video, at a different time. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. And as Chris Denker says, transition.